Welcome to the Explainer. We're all about taking source texts and turning them into these really clear, dynamic presentations.
Okay, so Noah's Ark. I mean, everybody knows the story, right? Or do we? What if we looked at what the original text actually says happened? That's exactly what we're going to do. We're diving deep into just one chapter, Genesis 7, to see the story unfold step by step, straight from the source.
So, what's interesting is the chapter doesn't just kick off with a massive flood. Nope. It actually starts with this final, super urgent command to Noah. And there's a strict timeline involved. You can almost hear the clock start ticking right from the first verse.
And here it is, the final instruction. But notice how personal it is. Noah is singled out specifically because he's righteous. That one little word is so important. It basically sets the moral stage for everything that's about to happen. You know, this complete unmaking of the world.
And right here, this is that ticking clock I mentioned. The text is super explicit about it. Noah has exactly 7 days, just 1 week before the rain starts. I mean, talk about building tension. You can really feel that sense of finality kicking in.
All right, the countdown has officially begun. So, what's next? Well, the focus immediately shifts to the passenger list. We get these really specific instructions about who and what is going to be saved.
Now, this is a super interesting detail that a lot of people just gloss over. The instructions make this really clear distinction between different kinds of animals. He's told to take 7 pairs of every clean beast, but only 1 pair of the unclean ones. Why? Well, it definitely suggests there's a purpose here, beyond just, keeping this species alive. It kind of hints at what's going to be needed to rebuild everything, maybe for things like sacrifices or food after the flood is over.
So, let's look at the complete manifest, the whole shebang. You've got the 8 human survivors, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. And then you have all the animals, separated into these very specific categories. The goal here is pretty clear: preserve the seed of life on Earth. Okay, so everyone's on board, every animal, every person. And then we get this incredibly powerful line. Think about it. It wasn't Noah who closed the door. The text says, and Jehovah shut him in. That's wow. The action is totally divine. It's decisive. And you just know, once that door is shut, there's no going back. So the ark is sealed from the outside. And just like that, the story shifts. The prep time is over. That 7-day countdown has hit 0. Now we get to the main event, the cataclysm itself. And listen, the text makes it really clear this wasn't just some big rainstorm. Not at all. It's described as this massive, two-front event. It's like a complete deconstruction of the world. You have the windows of heaven opening up top, sure, but at the same time, the fountains of the great deep break open. So you've got water surging up from below the ground, too. It's coming from everywhere. And again, look at how precise the source is with the timing. It doesn't just say, once upon a time. It tells us Noah was exactly 600 years old. It even gives us the month and the day, the 17th day of the 2nd month. The detail is just incredible. And this is probably the most famous number from the whole story, right? 40 days and 40 nights. That's how long the rain just hammered the earth. A totally relentless, non-stop torrent coming from those windows of heaven. Okay, so the 40 days are up. The rain has fallen. Now the story really starts to paint a picture of the sheer scale of this thing. And let me tell you, the text leaves 0 room for doubt about how massive and devastating it was. I mean, listen to this description. It is absolute. The text goes out of its way to emphasize how total this was. It doesn't say some mountains were covered. It says all the high mountains under the whole heaven. Just try to picture that. There's no land left anywhere. And it gets even more specific. It wasn't enough to just say the mountains were covered. Nope. The text gives us a depth. It says the water was 15 cubits above the tops of the highest mountains. That's what, over 20 feet? This one detail just hammers home the point. There was absolutely no chance of survival for anyone left outside that ark. So the result? Total, complete destruction. The text clarifies that basically anything on dry land that had the breath of the spirit of life died. It was comprehensive. It's like the slate of all land-based life was just wiped completely clean. So how does the chapter end? Well, not with the water going down. Not yet. Instead, it leaves us with this really stark, solitary image. Just the survivors, floating alone in a world that has been completely, utterly changed.
Yeah, this final summary is so powerful. It just highlights the absolute isolation of these survivors. Every single other living thing on dry land was gone, destroyed, leaving only Noah and the handful of others with him in the ark.
And get this, for a staggering 150 days, the water just prevailed. Now, this isn't the 40 days of rain, okay? This is a much, much longer period of time where the ark is just floating all alone on a global ocean, just waiting for things to finally subside. So that's where Chapter 7 leaves us, just hanging, in a state of a total, complete reset. The old world, gone, erased, but a new one is waiting. So the big question is, what happens when the waters finally go down? Well, that's a question for the next chapter of the story, Genesis 8.